Okay, I'll do it real quick. I was raised in a farm in New Jersey, studied the violin, studied in Philadelphia at a conservatory, concertized briefly as a violinist, started studying voice for opera, ended up singing at Radio City Music Hall, sang folk music, recorded singing folk type music. Did a lot of club work during the 50s, managed the Village Vanguard. First was Miles Davis for 2 weeks, then Cannonball Adderley, then Carmen McRae, then Modern Jazz Quartet, then Oscar Peterson, then Miles again in the fall for 3 years, and the Clancy Brothers, then we had Mingus and Monk, and then Lambert Hendrickson Ross when Eddie Ross was with them. And through those years we had comedians like Lenny Bruce was there 3 times, Stiller and Mira, George Carlin. Actually, what happened initially is television was playing here on Sundays, and then they played here on weekends too. And so Tom had met Patti Smith, and they used to have knishes at Jonas Schimmel's, I think. And I guess they got friendly, and Jane Friedman managed Patti Smith, and I don't know who got what and how, but she decided to come in here and do something for a weekend. And then they decided to come in here and just keep playing every week for 4 days until they played for about 7 weeks in a row, Patti, with the Patti Smith group. It's the first time her whole group was together here. Mm-hmm. And this is where she was signed by Clive Davis.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And so it brought a lot of people in because she was quite well known as a poet before, and she had built up a following. I guess she was the first person they always thought of as a punk poet. Mm-hmm. So that was that.
That first year, we're talking 74 now?
That was 75. That was already 75. And so after that, it settled down a little. And then I figured there were so many musicians, nobody really knew what I knew how many there were, so I decided to have a festival so they could all play a couple of times. And I think that's what turned the whole thing on. And when all the writers, even when Rolling Stone was in San Francisco, they came down. And everybody reviewed it, Melody Maker, NME, and The Times, and there was nothing else to write about.
Mm-hmm.
And
What was your early impression of the Ramones?
Talking Heads play Ramones. Well, I didn't like that kind of punk so much. I liked the guys. And when they hit the groove of playing their whole set in 17 minutes non-stop, I kind of liked that. It was a kick. But it was loud, and you were glad it was over in 17 minutes. I was. I liked the energy. And later on, I liked, some of the songs. It wasn't my favorite kind of music. It still isn't. But I like what they do. They do it well. I like the Talking Heads more, my taste.
Listen to me now, I've passed the test. I think I'm cute, I think I'm the best. Script, I don't like that style. Don't criticize what I know is worthwhile. Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Run, 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 run away. Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est?
The Dead Boys were more punk than their music was very hard rock, but they were the biggest punks they were. And actually, they're from Cleveland. And I think Cleveland was very much like Manchester. It was a depressed city where people were leaving by the droves, and young kids had nothing to look forward to. In television, there's Tom Verlaine and Richard Hell and Richard Lloyd and Billy Thika. And, actually, at the end, when television broke apart, I thought they were great at the end. They two writers, and they wrote differently, and Richard wasn't the greatest bass player, and I think it annoyed Tom, and I don't know the ins and outs of the group, but they didn't enjoy, to put it mildly, they didn't enjoy playing together at the end. So they had their differences. And it broke up, and I guess they got Fred Smith, who left the Stilettos, of which Blondie, that thing. And Richard Hell formed his own group when they were put on Sire, Richard Hell and the Voidoids. And Richard is very interesting. I think Richard, I like Richard. He always used to get wasted a lot for 3 or 4 years, and it was a shame, but I think he was very creative, and I guess the Punk Anthem is what he wrote. What's that song? Well, you probably know.
Blank Generation.
I belong to the blank generation. Magneto is the Doctor Who. He was a cartoon unforsaken by the public eye. The nurse suggested her goddess as I breathed my first. The doctor grabbed my neck and said, God, but the lady cried. I belong to the great conspiracy. I can take it or leave it.
I think when Richard Hell went with the Heartbreakers, with he and Johnny Thunders, it was very exciting then too.
Did you know Anya Phillips?
Anya, yeah. Not well, but
Did
I
she
know.
really stand out when she was here?
Not very much, no. She was one, she stood out a little, yeah. But not, I mean, Anya and, there's Tish and Snooky, a whole lot of people.
Right.
There's Gorilla Rose and all those people who were in the voodoo nuns or whatever they were.
The whole no wave thing that came out a couple of years after that, she was a big part of that.
Yeah.
James Chance and all that. What was your reaction to that episode?
I don't know. I knew a little bit about it, but I was too busy with other things. I think it was interesting. Jimmy was a guy, very talented. He was a little upset with life. I know we used to put him out a lot of times because he must get in fights a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But, he's another talented guy.
Fights were a big thing back then for some reason. They're not so popular
Not
today
really.
anymore,
Yeah, they're short. Cheetah of the Dead Boys always used to throw mugs around, It was volatile, I think now, the punks of today, I think they have more of the spirit. They have the same energy of the 70s, maybe even more, but they have the spirit of the 60s.